Hi, my name is Grayson, and before I start this presentation, I want to tell you that this is a little bit more opinionated, and so some points may get more opinionated, like I agreeing with genetically modifying things, or I disagreeing with genetically modifying organisms. Now, you do not have to believe these beliefs. I just think that it's beneficial for certain things to happen and others to not. Imagine if you were in the hospital visiting a person dying of an illness. What would you feel if they died? Now, imagine if you could cure that disease. All diseases. Well, with the revolutionary tech, clustered regular interspace short palindromic repeats, or CRISPR for short, could be our answer to curing all diseases. Although, with this great tech does come risks. We have to make sure we know what hands this technology is going to get into. Imagine if it got into somebody very powerful that we don't want to genetically modify things, like they would genetically modify organisms for war. And what about genetically modifying humans? There is million strands of DNA in the body. And if you're going to genetically modify something, wouldn't you think that you would screw up if there's millions upon millions of strands of DNA in you? What about genetically modifying organisms? What if you genetically modified a mosquito to, say, not carry malaria? What if you didn't want it to spread to other mosquitoes because it would mess up the ecosystem? One great thing CRISPR can do for us is cure diseases. There are many feared diseases, such as cancer and malaria. We could potentially cure malaria by genetically modifying a mosquito so it cannot carry the malaria virus. Malaria kills 1 million kids each year. And so, if we could genetically modify a mosquito to not carry malaria, then it could do wonders for humanity. We could also genetically modify ourselves so that we can no longer have cancer. Cancer is a very feared disease that kills many each year. We could also genetically modify our children. Have you ever wanted your child to look exactly how you wanted it? This could be possible in the future, where we could genetically modify babies to look how you want it, to be immune to certain diseases, and to have just fun traits like fuller hair or even increased IQ. It is likely that the first patients of CRISPR, though, will not be overcomplicated. The first babies will probably have a disease removed from them, and they will maybe even have fuller hair, but nothing too overcomplicated. With this revolutionary tech, though, risks do come. If we genetically modify organisms, such as humans, imagine if you screwed up. There are so much things that we do not understand about the DNA and human body that we do not know what could happen if one DNA strand is screwed up. If If you want your child to have increased IQ, and this tech is not fully developed, it could create less eyesight, less immune to other diseases, so on and so forth. You wouldn't want your child to have that, would you? We also have to be careful of whose hands we give this tech to. Let's take King Jong-un for an instance. What if he got a hold of genetic engineering? He could genetically modify his citizens so that they are super weapons that will only listen to him and nobody else. This would be catastrophic because we would not be able to fight back this unless we want to also get inhumane by genetically modifying humans so that we can fight back. What about genetically modifying organisms? That's great, right? Well, there's some risks to it. Like, if you don't want a mosquito with the immunity to malaria to spread to other mosquitoes, this would be a problem because you cannot control what the mosquito's actions are. And it has been proven that when they released mosquitoes with malaria immunity, it has screwed up the ecosystem. So how could we live in an ecosystem where it is screwed up? The world around us is changing. It's changing fast. We have no way of knowing what could happen next in our lives. There could be a meteor coming towards Earth, and we would only find out only recently. We may have to genetically modify ourselves so we could survive that meteor, or live on other planets such as Mars, or other, like Pluto, or Venus, and so many more. Could you live in a world, though, where your baby looks nothing like you, is more susceptible to cancer, has an ugly face? What about a tyrannic ruler that genetically modifies you so that you are a super weapon? You follow every order he gives you, and you are as strong as the strongest man will ever be. Could you live in a world where tyrants rule? Where genetic modification is constantly screwed up? Or will it be a paradise? Will it be we are all immune to diseases? Will it be we have a blooming ecosystem with life teeming all over? Children happy and playing, immune to diseases that were once feared by humanity. There's no real way of telling how our world could change. But you just have to make sure you know what you're doing if you are going to genetically modify things. Thank you for viewing my presentation.